Hey guys, WaggishAmerican here, and today I'm bringing you another build video. This is going to be the build of my 1/72nd scale PM Models Ta-183. Now, I apparently didn't record an actual intro, so I'm actually recording this intro after I did it, so I'll try to keep this quick. The kit has very few pieces, and they're not fantastically molded in dark gray plastic. The plastic is like sandpaper, those bumps. It's not primer or anything, that's just how the plastic comes. The clear parts are okay. The decals are abhorrent. The decals are golden yellow, and I think one of them fractured just by me looking at it. So I am planning on subbing in some spares box German decals, and this should be a quick, simple kit. I'm building this for the 1946 group build over on the Fine Simple Modeler forums. I'll link it in the description, and I'll see you guys during the build. I began the build as the instructions asked by assembling the very mediocre cockpit. As you can see, it's just a floor, a seat, and a stick. I did make a little control panel just to fill the space. I painted this with Tamiya RLM gray. On later inspection, it turned out way too light. I should have used RLM 66, which is a dark gray, which would be accurate for late war stuff. While I was painting the cockpit, I also hit the landing gear wheel wells and the interior of the landing gear covers with the RLM gray. I then glued in the rear pieces, and using epoxy, I fit as many fishing weights into the nose as I could. This would ensure that it would not end up a tail-sitter, since it is a tricycle gear aircraft. Once the weights were in place, I glued the fuselage halves together. The fit here was awful and required lots of tape and very strong clamping. As provided by the kit, the wings did not fit in their slots at all, so I cut off the tabs and using super glue, just attached the wings as a butt join directly to the fuselage. While not the strongest, this created a much better fit and saved the angle of the wings. Once the wings had dried, I attached the nose cone. This would fit very poorly and required mountains of putty later. Once I had finished puttying and priming, I gave the entire aircraft a coat of flat black. This was supposed to be a black basing to serve as pre-shading for the final coat. However, when I came around to painting, I had so many airbrush troubles that I ended up abandoning the pre-shading and pretty much just sprayed a flat coat. So ultimately, all this did was obscure what few details there were on the kit. I began by painting the light gray. The instructions call for RLM 76, but in every picture I've seen of concept art of this aircraft, it's a light gray, and the RLM color set that I have for Vallejo is very blue. It's too blue to serve as a gray, which is one of the problems I've had with doing night fighters that call for 76. So in this case, I just used Vallejo light gray that I had in my stash. As you can see, I kind of abandoned the pre-shading here. The pre-shading went okay. It was a little bit visible, but ultimately I would consider this a wasted effort. Once the gray dried, I masked it off and sprayed the RLM82. I did this camouflage following the directions of the kit. I'm not sure where they pulled this from, because this weird splinter with a two-color splinter on the wings and then the single color on the spine is not present on any other aircraft, late war aircraft. Once that had finished drying and I had painted the brown on the spine of the fuselage, I masked and painted all of the identifying bands white. This was my own creation, just to give the plane something more interesting to look at, and I had seen concept art that people had done of this aircraft with similar bands, and I really liked the way it looked. Once the white had dried, I mixed up a light blue and sprayed it on half of the white band on the tail and the entire nose. Overall, my favorite part of this entire kit is this blue color. In my opinion, it is an absolutely beautiful blue. After giving the model a couple coats of Future, I applied the decals using Microsol and Microset. The Microset wasn't really necessary, as there wasn't any details for the decals to fall into, although it did help the decals conform along the rear fuselage, which was an odd curve for decals to fit. These decals came from my spares box, mostly Revell and Airfix kits. All of the swastikas were from a sheet I printed myself, as most of my swastikas are. My technique for making decals hasn't changed, so if you want to see how I do it, I have a tutorial video, link in the description. Once the decals had set and I had applied a matte coat over the entire model, I glued in the landing gear. Once the landing gear was dry, I attached the landing gear covers and the wheels, and with that, the model was complete. So really quick, when I said that the model was complete, that was kind of a lie. I did have a couple touch-ups. I had to paint the wheels, and I did a little bit of chipping, just to replicate that like MIG chipping around the intake that you see quite a bit of. And here she is, all completed. I'm going to keep this end segment really short. If you want to build a Ta-183, buy literally any kit other than this. No matter what the scale, buy any kit other than this. Don't worry about price. This is probably the single worst kit I've built. Since I've started building again, this is the single worst kit I've built. And I would not build another one even if someone gave it to me for free. I'd probably use it for spares or something. So if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks!